All right. Howdy, howdy. This is our review again of another episode of Stranger Things. I am here with Ian of the Mega Geek.
Hello.
And he is super awesome. He's always hanging out and helping me out here so I don't sound like too much of a rambling fool. Today we're doing episode 2 of season 3, and it's called The Mallrats.
Yep.
And so I think we left off the very end of the last episode. It was Billy, right, getting dragged into the steelworks factory.
Mm-hmm. That was a bit confusing.
Yes, it only gets more confusing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna admit, this season I didn't understand completely the first time through, so I'll see if it makes sense this time around.
Yeah. So Billy, so it starts off where Billy, because I was confused in the beginning. I don't know about you. He gets dragged and then he's not there. He's standing, and then he gets his car. He gets out of his car and he goes to the phone box. Right?
Yeah.
Remember that? Uh-huh. And then you see a clip of him being dragged. And then I was a bit confused. I was like, oh, he's been dragged, but he's on the phone. So anyway, he does all that stuff. And then all these people come walking towards him in silhouette. And then he says, "What do you want?" And then the credits start.
Yeah. That is a fairly good description. Well, it also, it was the upside down.
Yes.
The biggest thing. It's like he runs away. You think he got away, and then like the power goes out on the payphone, and then suddenly it's the upside down, which I liked. But also, I don't know if that's how phones worked. Was it back then on a payphone? Like,
I can't remember how. I know how it worked in England, but you had to put the money in first before you can connect to anything. Actually, you ring and then you put when you hear the bleep, you put the money in. Whatever, I don't know. Over here, that's how it works. But you know what was interesting as well is they call it Mallrats. And I was trying to find out when Kevin Smith's film came out. I can't remember if it came out in the 80s or the 90s, but obviously Mallrats was the sequel to oh god, it's just gone out of my brain now. His first movie, which I can't remember. No, it wasn't. That wasn't his first movie. He made the very, very first movie he got famous for. Clerks. So
my god, I didn't realize that was his first one. I'm so dumb. I thought Chasing Amy was for some stupid reason.
Great movie, Chasing Amy, though. But Clerks was his first movie. Was shot in black and white, and it was very, very low budget. And then he made Mallrats was a sequel to that film. I think, I'm not sure, but so I don't know when Mallrats came out, but I think it came out in the 80s. I'm not sure, but anyway. Moving on. Right, so we have the credits. Do you know what? I never skip the credits because I really like the credits from Stranger. I don't know about you. Do you skip the credits when you're watching it?
I always play it. I don't know. It just sets the theme for every episode.
Yeah, I like when it tells you the title and then it kind of zooms into the screen and then you're in the picture. I think that's quite nice. I like that bit. But anyway, that's just me, right? So what do we have here then? We have Mike lying to 11 on the phone, right?
Oh, right. Yes, the fallout from his conversation in quotations with Hopper.
Yeah, but again, I don't know about you, but again, this bit of story doesn't make any sense to me. Maybe it's because that's the way I would never have played it. So if I was in love with some girl and some guy threatened me, the first thing I would do was tell her the truth, that I got threatened by her so-called dad and he's telling me not to see you, otherwise I never see you again. Instead of why would you lie?
Yeah.
It made no sense to me anyway. What do you think?
I think that is a good question because most kids you think would tell the girl.
That's right.
But at the same time, I think they're kind of playing. you know how like there's characters who do stupid stuff in this show, right? But
Yeah.
like I think they're kind of playing off the idea that like Hopper is an authority figure, like he's this big intimidating sheriff, and like and Mike is maybe gullible as a kid enough to think that like he should be scared of Hopper. Not that Hopper would actually ever do anything to him, but I don't know. He has seen Hopper in action.
But these kids have been through so much. You think that, you know, but that's the thing. I think it's there to advance the story, which is, you know, it's kind of bad storytelling, really. I mean, there's no way of avoiding stuff when you write a screenplay to do stuff that advances the story. But, you know, well, I think it is. It obviously this kind of thing, the decision that he makes advances the story a little further, doesn't it? So. But to me, it doesn't make any sense. As I said, you would literally tell the girl, look, you know, this is what's happening. You know, why would you lie? I love the bit where his mum was on the phone. Oh, that was quite funny. I don't know about you.
Oh, that is such a mom thing from back then. Like we would always like have to check the phone line before, like if we had a call that we didn't want our mom to listen in on, because like you could tell like. You would answer first and you have to listen, and there'd be a little click if they hung up. But if they didn't hang up, then you knew your mom was still listening.
Yeah. Also, so after that scene, we cut to Hopper in his car, really happy, driving around,
like doing the whole like dancing with the music, and then going in to brag to Joyce about how he totally made it work with exactly what she told him. Yeah.
That so I don't know if that scene came before he was on the phone, but Hopper goes to see Joyce, and he basically asks her out. And well, actually, he literally asks her out. He doesn't go around about the houses. He asks her out, doesn't he? And he makes sure that this is not a date. He says to her, but
he's like, we're going out as friends.
But it's obvious that, you know, that's what he wants. But anyway, and then we got the bit where he leaves and Joyce sees that the magnets fall off. Is that a fridge? I don't know what it was.
You know, it was kind of like a display scene for all the magnets.
And it falls off. So she's a bit puzzled by that. But then again, that's Joyce all over, isn't it? Anything out of the ordinary.
She just has that perfect face, you know, where she looks super shocked.
Yeah, she wants to investigate because these magnets don't make any sense. They fall off. So, and then we cut to the 12. I mean, Nancy. I was about to call her the 12-year-old. But because of QTs, I won't do that. She's making coffee and she spills it. Remember that bit?
Oh yeah. Poor thing. She's trying to figure out whether she wants basically, or what she wants to do with the information she has, right?
Yeah. And then she goes into the boss's place and gives him coffee and says, I need to go somewhere at lunchtime. And then she lies and she says that she's got girl problems.
Oh, yes, the ultimate move. that was like, pretty good for the 80s right there.
Yeah.
If your male boss or anybody wants to do anything and you just don't want to give a crap, you're like, I'm having lady problems. And then they're like, oh, take as much time as you want.
Yeah. I can't remember. Jake Busey was taking the mickey out of her. I can't remember why he was taking the mickey. Can you remember why he was taking the mickey out of her?
Because he's kind of like the stereotypical tool, I guess.
No, but what was the reason he was saying you're having trouble? Maybe it was because he saw her spill coffee. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think he was kind of joking that she was bad at her job, even though, you know, she's just doing coffee.
Yeah.
A lot of the characters, unless they like flesh out their character, just come off as like very two-dimensional, one-dimensional, stereotypes. Yeah. Two-dimensional gives them too much credit there.
Yeah, and then she goes to well, she keeps opening the door when Jonathan's developing film, which I think is quite funny. And
Oh, yeah.
she says, "Oh, let's go," because obviously she wants to investigate this thing, and so she drags Jonathan with her, and they drive off. So yeah, and then we cut to the scene where Robin, who's the girl at the ice cream parlor. Is that an ice cream parlor? I'm not sure.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I love Robin. I don't know what. There's just something about her in the name. That's
So
what
yeah.
you do it. My dog.
So she's serving ice cream, and Dustin turns up, and she shouts at Steve, and Steve comes out, and they have this great reunion.
Hmm.
And Robin's like, "How many kids do you know?" Do you know what I mean? So it's again, it's she's wailing on Steve, and Steve is useless again. Um, but he seems to have made a bond with Justin more so than the rest of the kids. So
It does make. I had to ask about that because I guess it alludes to the fact that they've been hanging out like all. Well, they couldn't have hung out all summer though. So like, when did the camaraderie come around? Because they pretty much, got together to do that one thing, and then Dustin was gone all summer at camp. So
yeah, it's a bit puzzling. I don't know where that
but
that's yeah, I mean they
it
could
was.
have. Yeah, so I mean they could have bonded before he went off to his science camp wherever he went. Um, Sorry,
No, I
hello.
was agreeing. Sorry.
Yeah, so he could have, and it's quite cute. I think their relationship. That he has something in common with this. I don't know how old Justin is. Maybe he's 13 or something like that. I don't know, but he has something in common with Justin. They seem to be really good friends here. And Justin tells him that about his girlfriend, hotter than
Mm-hmm.
Phoebe Cates. So yeah, that was quite funny. And I like Phoebe Cates, especially in Gremlins. I think she was freaking gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Anyway,
Oh
so
yeah.
yeah, so they talk, and he was saying, I don't, he was saying that he had he what is it? He made a connection on his radio that he got some Russians
Oh
talking.
yes,
Yeah,
that's Russian transmissions.
is it? Mm. So yeah, so they talk about that.
Uh-huh.
Um, And then we have which a scene that doesn't make any sense, which I reckon they did it to advance the story in a direction they wanted to go. It doesn't feel natural. So 11 is pissed off that Mike doesn't want to see her that day. And what's the chances of her bumping into Max?
Yeah.
That didn't make any sense. Suddenly she's where Max lives.
Mm-hmm.
Now, why would she
Yeah.
walk from her house
That did,
to Max's place, and how did she know where Max lived?
that is a good question, actually. That's one of those things, I guess, that just miraculously happened. It must be
Yeah.
one of Stranger Things.
Yeah, brilliant. But yeah, so she's trying to do this move on the skateboard, and the skateboard gets away from her, and 11 stops it, and then she just walks up to her and says hi, and it's like, wait a moment, did you not like Max before? So again, now they're on season. What season is this? 3.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're on season 3. The writings are getting a bit crappy. So I just thought this scene was like, well, first of all, why is she there? Second of all, how does she know where Max lives? And third of all, why is she talking to her? Because in the last episode that we saw her, she didn't like Max at all. So suddenly she's talking to her. So anyway, this is a bit weak writing here, in my opinion.
I,
Um,
I guess I guess I could translate it like she has a very limited circle of friends, and she probably, I don't know, like Max could be just like the only girl that she knows that she might want to talk to about the situation. I mean, because there are other options is like Hopper or like the 3 kids.
Yeah, you would think that she would go and seek out, Lucas or Dustin, but it doesn't look like. I don't know whether she deliberately seeked out Max or she just kept walking and somehow, she's walking on a road where Max lives. So yeah. So that bit of writing to me is weak. It's illogical. But as I said, to advance the story, they made it. They wrote it in such a way that she talks to Max, which to me doesn't make any sense. Which, to me, it's the woke thing is creeping in slightly because you can't have 2 girls that are not friends. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
It's kind of hard, I guess, especially nowadays, because there is kind of like that independent fling that like teenagers do go through, where it's like the girls are cool, the boys suck, and the boys are cool and the girls suck, kind of stuff like that. But so like, I mean, I guess it makes sense kind of based off of the way that Max and Lucas's relationship is. Because, like, I mean, it's just a small thing from later, but Lucas basically says that they've broken up, I think, like 4 or 5 times. I think that Max is just, like, for her, she gets angry and then she moves on and she likes to be lethargic about it and enjoy it. And so that's kind of like, and then, I don't
know. I don't know. It sounds like you're making excuses, and maybe I'm seeing, maybe
it's true.
Yeah, well, maybe I'm seeing too much into this scene, but as I said, because of what's happening today with the feminine agenda and the woke stuff, once you see it, you can't unsee it. And I don't know. I'm in 2 minds with this, whether this should be, because as I said, she's friends with the gang, and the last time we saw them, she wasn't friends with Max. She actually didn't like Max at all. So the natural thing that she would do would to seek out the other boys, which she knows, Lucas and Will and the rest of them. That makes logical sense. But I suspect because of this, again, I hate saying this, but the agenda and the woke stuff, that she had to meet Max, which doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense. It makes no sense that she's there near her house. How did she know where she lived? And it makes no sense that she's talking to Max, because she's not friends with Max at all. She's friends with the other boys. So is it a deliberate writing thing?
That's a good question. I mean, if we go at it from like it being just like a lazy writer, they could have just been like, we need to get her from point A to point B, and how. And then they kind of like were like, well, maybe she encounters this character, and then they like, I don't know. It could easily be lazy, but it also could definitely be in that whole, the boys are, cause yeah, they're definitely playing up the boys are idiots in this season, I think, because if you think about it, no matter how spastic they were in the first 2 seasons, they were intelligent, but they're acting like complete fools. And maybe that's intentional to be like super over the top, like boys are silly when it comes to girls, but it does come off as really ham-fisted.
No, as I said, I really don't know. But as I said, I suspect it's the latter, which is, let's inject some of this feminine agenda in there. And, it just felt wrong to me. As I said, when you use logic, it doesn't make any sense that 11 will be talking to Max. She'd be talking to Lucas. She'd be talking to Will. She'd be like asking. But then again, Will and Lucas, they're always with Mike. And maybe she thought if she talks to them.
No, you actually, you have made a very valid point, because I was actually looking at this like she's just like any other girl. But they have they are literally her family. And it in her mind, I can't imagine why Elle would go somewhere else, but not to like one of their houses or to like one of them. Like, because I don't think that she understands relationships, or at least last season, of like friendships and stuff. Like they've been explaining it to her. So it just seems weird that she would go outside of the circle.
Yeah, but she'll either, for me, using logic, she'll either do one or two things. She'll either go to Lucas's house, or she'd go to Will's house, or she'd go and confront Mike, full stop. So it makes no sense to me. I mean, I hate to go on about this, but it makes no sense to me that she would go wander and then suddenly find Max's house and then suddenly talk to someone she didn't like in the first place. Now, the cynic in me is saying that, yes, the writers deliberately did this because now these days you can't have two girls not liking each other because of this agenda. So I don't know.
That's actually, another valid point, like just seeing the optics of like what is acceptable or like what is expected nowadays, and yeah, it could just be that. Be like, well, can we inject this,
Yeah. So I mean, yeah. Anyway, we don't want to dwell on this, but
needless to say, they go on a spending spree at the mall.
They do. So, but the thing is, though, where do they get the money? And question marks. So it doesn't make any sense. Even when I was a kid, I couldn't afford I couldn't even afford a T-shirt, let alone a bloody pair of, a hat or anything like that. So I don't know if Max has stole money, or I really don't know, because I know Levin's got no money, that's for sure. So
I'll make up another story since we don't have one. Based on a visual observation from the last season where we see Max's mom one time. She does look like she's really dolled up, and also that Max's stepdad is like really protective of Max, and it's just possibly Billy who's being a dick. So it could be that she has an allowance of some sort from that. But that's me making this up as someone who needs an explanation for stuff.
But another thing that I thought wasn't very good about this episode, it seemed like they were trying to fill time. So you have that scene in it where Max and 11 are shopping and stuff to music and all that, and then it was mixed with the boys in the mall as well. It just seemed very unnecessary and very long. Do you know what I mean? It'd be nice just to have a small montage, but it was quite long montage with the girls.
Yeah. Well, I'm very disconnected with some of the movies of the 80s, specifically in the like super girly stuff. Yeah. Call me old fashioned. I loved all the whole fighting stuff. But I think that they were bumming, kind of going off of one of the styles of like, there's a lot of the teen movies, there's always like that feel good, lethargic shopping spree with the montage. But I wouldn't be able to point to an exact one, but I think that's what they were going for, but it was extremely long. And if anything, it was showing off like, ooh, look at the 80s. Look at what we have here in the 80s.
Yeah. And also, there's that scene before they go to the mall where they're talking in Max's bedroom. And again, I maybe I'm seeing in too deeply into these scenes, but that scene was very much slamming the boys. They lie, they cheat, boyfriends are not worth it, blah blah blah. So when I first saw this, because this is my second time watching season 3, I thought to myself, what a cow that Max is, for saying all those things. Why would she put a wedge between 11 and Mike? That seems to be horrible. Instead of going, well, why don't you talk to them and find out what's going on? She just basically wails in and says, they're stupid. They lie and stuff like that, which makes the situation worse. So I don't know. I don't know whether this is deliberate writing to put the agenda in this episode. This, as you can tell, this episode, I'm not impressed with this episode at all. But we'll keep going. But that's I don't know. As I said, I could be seeing too much into this, but even when I was watching it the first time round, I thought to myself, it doesn't make any sense. None of it makes any sense. But anyway, we shall move on, shall we?
We're all good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. We got
Um,
that. Oh yeah, and we cut to Billy at the swimming pool.
That's right. That's funny.
Wait, hold on. Sorry, there was the opposite end of the girl stuff. The boys trying to figure out what's going on, but let's just say that they are idiots written as idiots.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You know, they're not that stupid. I mean, they're quite intelligent to solve the last 2 seasons of you know, the world being threatened. You know, and as I said, you know, all right, I get it that Lucas is a bit stupid because he's never been clever when it comes to his girlfriend Max. You know,
Yeah.
But Mike isn't that stupid. Do you know what I mean? He as I said, it kind of it's. I don't know. It's just it just doesn't compute with me, unfortunately. And unfortunately, that's the way my brain works. But anyway, so we have this scene where he's gonna buy her a little bear, isn't it? A gold little bear thing.
That's in a bit, but after a couple. But I wanted to point out that, you know, through all of that, the only thing that really comes out of it is that everybody's ignoring Will.
Yes. Yeah, because they go off, don't they? And Will's like, "What about this game?" So
I don't know. Maybe it's just me that finds his humorous. Is that the first season he's missing, the second season everything's about him, the third season no one is paying attention to him whatsoever.
Well, I guess that's kids for you, isn't it? So yeah, so they're in the mall, and then they got that scene with Billy. He looks like he's sweating for, I don't know, he's just like pouring with sweat, isn't he? In the dark changing room. Yeah.
That was a pop sweat, right?
Yeah. What is it? So Will's mum comes in. What's her name again? I can't remember.
Karen. I have to say, I think they intentionally have people say her name in the first scene that she's in every episode because we never remember it. Like, she's so forgettable.
Yeah. He's like, "Leave me alone, Karen. You know, I'm really sorry I didn't turn up because I've got a family and all that." And that was a good scene, actually. I quite enjoyed that scene because you never knew what he was going to do. Do you know what I mean? So and he comes out of the room, and the sunlight kind of upsets him a bit, doesn't it, when he comes out?
Yeah.
You're still wondering what's going on with him, though, because it's never quite explained what happened to him. Do you know what I mean? So he's not happy with the sun, put it that way. And what have I got here? He has visions, doesn't he? When he walks out, the sun hurts. And so after that scene, we have Robin in the ice cream place, and she's serving, but she's getting fed up of serving because Steve's inside the room with Dustin, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Dustin is explaining, you know, that the Russians, he's got the thing about the Russians, he's got a recording of the Russian, he's got a Russian translation book and stuff like that. And then again, is it just me, or is this agenda being played again where Robin comes in and suddenly she's super smart? And Steve, well, then again, Steve was always stupid, right? But she's in there. She's like, you know, it's a different alphabet, so you won't be able to. I can speak Spanish, blah 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 blah. Steve, go and serve the customers while I deal with this with Dustin. Mm-hmm. What do you think? Am I seeing too much into this, or what?
Well, I don't know. I mean, like, it's so hard nowadays to look at anything with characters that happen to make me, well, I'm strong and but annoying at the same time. Because she unfortunately could just be written to be really annoying, but she definitely comes off like, well, I mean, if you're looking at, you know, the idea, I mean, we're making Hopper look like an idiot this season. The boys are looking like idiots this season. Steve technically always looks like an idiot. Jonathan is a cuck, always, like, getting dragged around with Nancy. So I mean, if we're honest, the season definitely doesn't have a lot of strong male characters.
Well, it's
Even
not.
really, the biggest baddie is kind of a wimp at the moment.
But it's not. It's not the fact that I don't have strong male characters. They are strong, but they seem to be weak in this one. And well, this episode put it that way, and they all seem to be dumb. As I said, am I seeing too much into this? Maybe the chat can tell me whether I'm seeing too much into this. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't know. As I said, I never saw it the first time round I saw it. This is my second. We're jaded at this point. Yes, I guess we are. But anyway, I just thought to myself, well, suddenly this girl is smart. Why is she working behind an ice cream counter? Why isn't she, gone to college or something? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense anyway. So we go from that scene to Jonathan and Nancy go to see the old lady. I don't know if you remember that bit.
Oh, yes. I have her name, Driscoll. Yeah.
Driscoll. So, yeah, she's going on about how the rats have been eating her. Is it fertilizer? I can't remember what it was.
Which is weird for people who don't know that, because fertilizer is pretty much poison. So that's why it's supposed to be weird. Oh, and my dog's sharing too.
So yeah, they see the teeth marks on the fertilizer and the rats, and then there's a cliffhanger in that scene where the lady says, "I caught one of them."
Oh yeah, and she's just got like that creepy old lady vibe to her in the first place, and just like the way she delivered that was like, were they trying to be funny or creepy?
Yeah. But and then we got another subplot, which is the mayor. I think he's the mayor, Larry, isn't he? Is he the mayor of Hawkins? Larry?
Yes, Larry Klein.
And he was in a couple of 80 movies as well, which I cannot remember because his face looks so familiar.
Oh wait, seriously?
Sorry?
Wait, you don't recognize him?
No, I don't. What's he been in?
Princess Bride.
Of course. Of course.
Yeah. I wasn't sure because he does have. I guess I recognized him because like he was in Psych somewhat recently. Course. He still kind of looks the same.
He played the jewel thief, didn't he? The jewel thief that Sean really admires.
Yes.
They became friends. Yeah. Thought he was really cool, and every time they they met him, he was always crushing on him, wasn't he? He was like, "You're so cool," And then, anyway, that's another show that we should cover. Yeah.
So he is. So it's Carrie Elwes from at least Princess Bride. That was in the 80s. I'm sure he was in other stuff. I'm just not very. I don't know a lot of the 80s stuff. So.
Yeah, I knew I recognized him. I couldn't put my finger on it though. But it's really funny how he played the hero in that film, and then as far as I can see, he's always been cast as slime balls or a baddie. It's really weird. He's
coming off a lot. I think they're trying to play it up this way as like the mayor in Jaws with his personality.
Yeah. No, definitely money. So he's got a crowd outside his his place. The crowd is annoyed because the mall has opened and they've all lost their jobs because everybody now is crawling into the mall, and they're all protesting outside the mayor's office. And the mayor, I think we find out between Hopper and the mayor that the mayor was the one that passed said that the mall could be built. So the people are angry, and Hopper doesn't want to help him. Hopper does not want to help him. But the mayor points out that they don't have a permit to protest, and Hopper should do his job and make them move along. And that's how that scene ends, I guess.
Yeah. One thing I have to point out for just later, because I keyed in on this, was there's a purposeful camera angle of, I think it was Hopper going down the hallway at the city hall or wherever they are, and he passes someone, and you only see their like the sidearm, their arm and like leg, and that they're carrying a motorcycle helmet. And it was a very specific camera angle that caught my eye, and I thought that was very important. and it actually comes back later.
Does it? I gotta admit, I never didn't notice that bit, but hey, that's my fault. I wasn't paying attention too much. But so what happens? Oh, the mayor says, "Oh, we got Independence Day coming up, and I'm gonna throw this town, a huge party, and people are gonna love me, and re-election's coming up, and I need to get voted again. The usual stuff with."
Oh, yeah. At the end of the day, that's all the voters will remember for the Independent Bash. I quite liked that line.
Yeah. So he's definitely Larry from Jaws, isn't he? the mayor that doesn't listen. Yeah. So we got that bit, and then we cut to Max and 11 still shopping and doing the montage thing.
And the boys trying to find stuff, and Mike only finding like a super cute teddy bear pin.
Yes.
That's like several $100 or something.
$300 apparently.
Yeah, that's an expensive little brooch. So,
but if he had the money, he would buy it for her, wouldn't he?
Yeah, he totally would. He's such a simp.
Yeah. So anyway, so we got that bit, and the bit that made me laugh so much is Joyce goes to see Mr. Flanders, as I call him.
Yes. Best introduction to his character ever.
Yeah. But the bit made me laugh was you see the back of his head, and he's on the computer or something like that, and then she's about to leave because no one's answering the door, and then the car park, the what is it? What do you call that? That's not a car park, is it? The
garage door.
Yeah, the garage door starts coming up and reveals him in
tennis shorts and
yeah. I mean, that's quite funny, Mr. Techno. But yeah, so because she's got all these books, isn't she, about magnetism? Oh, here we go. What's this? Happy Dinosaur. Why would the Russians hide their base of operation in the mall? Yeah, but you get to. I guess it makes more sense than a Cobra hiding out in a Walmart. Yeah. But you find out, don't you, as the show goes on, as this season goes on, why they did that, I guess. Yeah, but you're right, it doesn't make any sense. So what we got here? So Joyce goes to see Flanders, as I put down in my notes. Jonathan takes pictures of the rat, and the rat's going crazy, and Joyce gets another lead, and he says, "Oh, what about the rats?" And she's like, "No, come, let's go." And they go, and then the rat explodes.
It's like perfect timing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it explodes into like a little goop blob that starts crawling away with tiny little arms. I'm like, God, that's so gross.
Yeah. It becomes a bit of a goo. Yeah. And we cut to Billy getting burnt by the sun, and he goes into the shower, has a bit of a fit. Mike, Mike and the teddy bear. I write that down. That's the thing. And then the girls confront them in the mall.
Oh right.
Yeah. And they lie, but Mike saying to her, I was going to get you a present, was true. But again, the boys are a bit of idiots, and the girls are, question mark. But yeah,
it's true.
Yeah, you know what I mean. I like the shot of the Burger King in the background, which I thought was, because I think Burger King came out in the 80s, did it not? Maybe somebody could correct me in the chat.
Technically, like maybe 79 or it was in there, but I mean, it was like super big in the 80s for sure.
Yeah. So we got a scene where Robin's translating the dialogue, and Steve is giving ice cream to the girls and stuff. And I guess 11 gets pissed and wanders off, and leaves Will brokenhearted.
Yeah. And that really doesn't feel like something Eleven would do after everything she did and how strong her connection is with Mike.
Yeah.
But she can also just be very hormonal. So, I mean,
yeah, maybe. I don't know, but it all smells, with my Columbo Mac on, I'm like, there's something wrong, man. Just one more thing. Yeah, so it just, I don't know. It just stinks of woke. And then Hopper gets a shirt. Do you like Hopper's shirt, by the way?
Oh, yeah, super classy, perfect to go dining shirt.
Yeah.
It's like a Hawaiian shirt, right?
Yeah, Hawaiian shirt, and he has his suit, and he goes to the restaurant and orders all his stuff, expecting Joyce to turn up, but Joyce is with Flanders. What is that teacher's name, by the way?
I did not write it down in this one. It bugs me because I always end up thinking Mr. Harrison, but that's another teacher from a different show. So we'll go with Flanders because he looks like him.
Yeah.
He also puts that to his talk, his voice,
Yeah. If they were going to make a Simpsons live action, they would get him. He'd be perfect as Flanders.
It's our position now. No, but yeah, so he basically is, of course, saying, oh, it's like this thing called like apophenia, where like if you look for patterns, let's see, there you go. Maybe that's what we have. Yeah. We look for patterns and you see that aren't there. So maybe we see woke in everything now because we just look for it in everything. But I mean, at the same time, learn that later that she isn't seeing nothing. So.
But the thing is, though, it's the evidence is overwhelming. It's not like there's a pattern. There is a pattern there, obviously, but you could argue that I'm just seeing into it too deeply. But the evidence is overwhelming, isn't it? So
technically theoretical. I think the saying is 1 time is an incident, 2 times is a coincidence, 3 times a pattern. And like there's like some sort of like way that you can basically kind of track it into like to the point where it's a pattern. Yeah. But yeah.
I mean, Steve is as dumb as frack, isn't he? In this,
that one thing in this episode, and I can give it to him, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah,
it's pretty dummy.
Yeah. They're walking. It's the end of the day, and it looks like Dustin was with Robin for majority of the time, and poor old Steve had to serve ice cream, and the whole mall is shut down, and they're walking home, I'm assuming. And Steve, this is the only good thing that Steve's done in this episode. He sees the horse, and they're both talking, Dustin and Robin, with the Russian thing, and he says, "Oh, somebody got a quarter." And obviously, Robin's going, "You dumb twat." Basically, why do you want to put money in the thing, whatever? And he goes, "Just give me a quarter." And he puts the quarter in, and the music starts playing. And he recognizes the music, and so does Dustin. That's the one thing that Steve has done right.
Yeah, actually. And anybody else could probably figure that out at some point, maybe. But
yeah.
It is the most useless bit of information possible, and therefore probably a Steve thing. So maybe no one else would really recognize that.
Well, he does recognize it, and he does recognize the music. And so they come to the conclusion that recording was made in the mall, because the chances of them having that music and this kind of thing in Russia is very, very remote. Yes. So the recording was made in the mall. Dun, dun, dun. Kind of thing. So and then we go from there to Billy, because we forgot to mention the scene in it where one of the lifeguards is a girl. Yes. And she was worried about Billy, and Billy was in the shower, and she comes and says, "You all right?" And then Billy turns around and looks at her, or grabs her or something. I can't remember what happened in that scene. So in this last scene, we find out that Billy has gagged her and taken her to the warehouse for some unknown reason. And that's how it ends. I think, how does it end with all these did those people turn up again? The shadow people?
Well,
I
he
can't remember how it ends.
had a flashback memory
Oh,
of
right.
back again to the phone booth,
Yeah.
and that's when he sees himself with the shadow people, because before it was just people approaching, I think, and then when he flashes back, it's to him, and then he asks himself what they want, and they, what did they say? I wrote this down, and then oh, what do you want to build? I want you to build. And then he said, build what? And then it says, what you see. So, and I guess that's where he got the idea that C might be the first thing. I don't know, but that part, it could just be something we haven't figured out yet. But yeah, so he wants him to do something. So he brings the girl there who gets attacked by a giant blob.
Yeah. And that ends that episode. But
I forgot the one thing in the restaurant when Hopper gets pissed eventually and leaves drunkenly. That is where the tie through comes in. The camera pans from him to a guy sitting at the bar wearing a leather jacket and with his motorcycle helmet, and so that establishes that guy could be following Hopper, or at the very least, coincidentally, is in the same place as him twice in one day.
Yeah, maybe. But obviously, no spoilers, just in case people want to watch this episode.
Those faces, he's like that guy, the actor from X-Files who always played that alien like killer dude. He was like super big and beefy.
Yeah.
He has that kind of face.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, this episode to me was very slow and very puzzling, and together with what I try not to see, but I see, kind of really pissed me off slightly with the woke agenda thing. As I said, I might be seeing too much into it, but unfortunately, this is what entertainment is made of these days. They want to educate us rather than entertain us, in other words. But I don't know. To me, it just seemed like it was there.
I think it just doesn't feel like, in general, if the writing doesn't feel natural, that kind of stuff pops up and immediately too. It's like, if you can't like personally imagine this naturally happening, you start questioning why it's happening. And immediately, if the character happens to be, like a female character, you're like, well, why did they write this character this way? And then like that questioning comes in. And a lot of times nowadays, when you get to that point, you see that they're doing it for non-writing reasons. So,
yeah, as I said, setting the gender thing aside and the woke thing aside, I didn't really like this episode at all. I thought it was slow, and I thought that it wasn't interesting. For me, it wasn't interesting. Hopper seems to be a completely different character now. For some reason, I don't know. Joyce, you'd think that Joyce would actually call Hopper and say, I can't make it, but she doesn't. For various reasons. That's not a bad thing, I don't think. But you would think, I said logical things that should happen doesn't really happen in this episode. I think it's really weak writing.
yes.
Or they did it so that a point of the story can connect to another point. Like, for instance, Will lying for no reason that I can see. And what's the reason? Oh, he's mad. Hopper's mad. He says that if I don't comply, then I won't be able to see 11 again. But using logic, that's not going to happen, is it? I mean, what's he going to do? Lock her in a cage, not let her come out of the house forever? Do you know what I mean? It makes no sense how he could come to that conclusion. Maybe I'm seeing too much into it, but I don't know. But yeah, kind of doesn't make any sense to me, right?
Yeah, it's there's a lot of illogical things that happen to make logical things happen. There's a lot of logical things that happen that end up being a lot. I don't know. It's a hot mess in this episode, I think.
Yeah.
Happy rated it 0 out of 10 because it didn't. Wait, it hurts women? I have no idea. You might have to. rating happy.
No, I get what he means. Definitely get what he means. Yeah, I mean, it's not showing women in a good light. I mean, Max is a bitch. Levin is turning into a bitch. Will's mum, considered having an affair. You know, and Joyce is basically, ignoring someone. Well, I think Joyce is the only good one in it. Yeah.
She's busy spazzing out in her own little storyline. No one else is there yet.
Yeah.
No,
But
it was a very weak episode, and I mean that in like even considering the first season and second season, it didn't have a lot going for it.
But you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of the Karate Kid series. Karate Kid 1 was brilliant, just like Stranger Things was brilliant the first season. Second season was good, but wasn't as good as the first season. And then they completely dropped the ball in Karate Kid 3, which was absolute shite. And with this one, this season, I've seen what we've seen. How many episodes? 2 so far. I'm not impressed. I can see it going downhill, script wise and logic wise. It just seems that when it comes to number 3 in a series of things, they seem to relax too much instead of keeping the A game still going, if you know what I mean. So I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, no, totally. I agree.
Okay.
You put it, say.
Yeah. But I mean, I'll still keep watching, but I'm just, as I said, I've seen this season already, but I don't remember everything. But hopefully, episode 3, because it's episode 2, right? Am I getting this right?
Yeah.
So yeah. So hopefully, episode 3 would pick up, but I don't know. I don't know. Am I seeing too much into it? I don't know.
Well, hang in there for a couple episodes, and we'll see how it turns.
Yeah,
it could be the little frog in the water as it slowly starts spoiling, or it could just be cool.
Yeah, I don't remember uniforms being that bad though. In the ice cream parlor, that uniform that Steve and Robin was wearing, it's really horrible.
Yeah, I mean, there were a couple restaurants here and there that did that kind of stuff. I mean, they've always had uniforms. Like, I think McDonald's had the hat back in the 80s. You'd have to Google it, but I'm pretty sure they did. Like the really stupid kind of look like a paper boat upside down.
Yes, yeah. They did. But I mean, they've got shorts on, and and it just, I don't know, it just kind of looks a bit crappy. The whole setup.
I was so close to buying that. I was at Hot Topic last summer, and I saw they had the uniform from the ice cream shop, and I was like, I want it so bad. But I ended up just buying Dustin's baseball cap from his camp. So.
Right, yeah, that's a really cool cap, actually. But Dustin seems to be the only one that's focused in all of it. Do you know what I mean? And it's really weird because I keep saying to you, what is the point of Steve? And it seems like they've created this situation with Dustin. So they gave Dustin a girlfriend, so that he's not involved in the wrangle, the girlfriend wrangle thing. And so he's separated from his friends. And so I think he's solely there to make a reason for Steve to be there.
Well, I guess, like, here's me reading into it and trying to make a reason again. But weekly, they kind of showed that maybe Dustin feels, kicked to the side by his friends because they didn't care about his radio. So maybe he took it out of spite to Steve or someone who he knew would be excited about it instead of his friends. But
yeah, but that doesn't make any sense, does it? I mean, they've been friends for a long time, and they still are friends, even though they got disappointed with his radio thing. You would think that Dustin would go to his friends with this information about the Russians but he doesn't. He picks Steve. And again, I keep saying to myself, I've been saying this for the last 2 seasons. What is the point of Steve? Why is he there?
You know, I feel like I feel like he is just some in joke that they have. There's just something that one day they'll do something and it'll be like payoff. But I mean, maybe he's the bad guy this entire time, right? Maybe it's Steve.
I don't know. I just think that he's someone must like him in the production, because there's no point. There's no point for Steve to be there at all. He doesn't do anything. All right, so maybe he gets the music at the ending, which is the only good thing he's done so far. But it doesn't make any sense. 2 things that don't make any sense in this episode: Max and 11 being friends makes no sense. 11 actually seeking out Max, it looks like she was. And the other thing is Dustin and Steve's relationship. That doesn't make any sense, because Dustin would definitely go to his friends. They're friends. They have that bond. If you discover the Russian thing, you would go and tell Mike, wouldn't he? Mike, but he doesn't.
If anything, Will, because Will would totally have helped him translate Russian. Totally.
Yeah.
He's a dungeon master, for F's sake.
I mean, as I said, Steve has been a loser since season 2, right? Season 1 he had a purpose, didn't he? Season 2 he had no purpose whatsoever, and became a loser. And then in this season he's even a bigger loser. I just don't understand why he's there. You could have easily chucked him out of the mix, and he wouldn't have made no difference if Dustin did make that connection between the Russian transmission. It probably would have been teamed up with Robin. To do you know what I mean? Steve makes no sense in this whole scheme of things. Maybe they're building him up for season 4 or something. I don't know.
Yeah, right. Well, we've got some more episodes coming up. We can maybe make a list of all the things that Steve doesn't do or does.
Yeah.
But what's your overall ranking for this episode?
I don't. What, out of 10? Is it out of 10? Is it out of 10? However
you would rate it. I would say out of
10. I would rate this a 3, because I was watching it, and this is the first time I found it a chore to watch. So I was thinking, and only because my brain's maybe it's because I'm a script writer, and I've made stuff, things like this that, as I keep saying, things doesn't make sense in the screenplay. It's like in every horror film when they go into a spooky house, that it never occurs to them to switch the light on for some reason. They go in, they got a torch, and they go in there with the torch. In fact, why would you go into a spooky house in the first place? You wouldn't, would you? That kind of thing. So it's like that kind of logic to me in this. They use those kind of things to actually connect to another part of the story, but that connection doesn't make any sense or is illogical, if you know what I mean.
I would have to rank it 0 for that happy, because I use my mom's subscription.
All right. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I give it a 3. What would you give it?
I gotta say, I was ranking it all over the place in the last 2 seasons, depending on how I was feeling about it. And I do have a medium, a middle ground. Like, I would basically say any movie I rate 5 or higher would be something I would, openly sit down and watch at some point. But obviously the higher the number, the more enthusiastic I would be about it. But this is not an episode I would want to just sit down and rewatch. There's nothing that does that for me. I mean, there's enough stuff that, you could skip it. It'll say previously on. You won't miss anything.
Yeah.
It really does feel like a blip. So even like the stuff with Billy, which I love the like cinematically, all of the stuff with Billy and creepiness, that was fun, but it just doesn't push it over for me. So I would give it a 4.
I find all that stuff with Billy very confusing because they keep doing the flashback thing when he's with, the upside down people, as I would describe it. But it's very confusing. I don't know why they just didn't play it linear, but they didn't. Maybe they're trying to be too clever. I don't know. But
It felt sloppy, yeah.
you know. But anyway, it was, this one is the weakest episode so far of all of season 1 and 2, as far as I'm concerned.
Hopefully the next episode will, put some more pep back into that stuff. We definitely
Who
have
knows?
Joyce doing her sciences again. Yeah. And well, I'm sure at some point we'll figure some more stuff out. But so, I guess that's a good point to cut it. Just so but thank you for coming here, Ian. And seriously, people, I'm sorry I didn't have the link on hand. I'm really bad at this, but go subscribe to Ian the Mega Geek you can find him on Twitter, but also Rebecca Gold. You have to go over to Rebecca Gold on YouTube. It's a super awesome series. Go subscribe, watch it, and there's a couple short films over there. And just give Ian some love. Okay.
Thank you all.
And we'll be back in 2 weeks, every other week at 2:30 Pacific Standard, 9:30, whatever Ian is over in the UK. So again, you guys can figure out the math on that one. But thank you to everybody who dropped in and shared your support and some comments. I really appreciate it. You guys are awesome.
Yeah,
and
thanks.
We'll see you guys next week or the next week. Ha! Wow, almost did it to you.